Good morning, dear students. In the earlier class, we discussed dimensional formula. So, for seven fundamental physical quantities, we have seven dimensions. And here I want to give more clarification on these dimensions. Yes, if we take three-dimensional space, how do we take? Yes, x-axis, y-axis. Here I am writing z-axis like this. But in fact, how do we have z-axis? Perpendicular to the plane like this. So z-axis here we have. Now, if I want to represent a point in the space, isn't it? So here, if I want to represent a point, so how do we represent? Suppose it is at 2 meters from origin. So we write 2 meters, comma 0, comma 0. That means, so x coordinate is 2 meter, y coordinate is 0, and y coordinate is 0, and z coordinate is 0. And if I take a point here, let's say from here to here 2 meters, and from here to here 2 meters. So how do we represent this point? 2 meters, comma 2 meters, comma 0, isn't it? So here for this one, so we have only x dimension, y dimension, z dimension 0, or coordinates. Here we use the term coordinates. And here x coordinate is 2 meters, and y coordinate is 2 meter, and z coordinate is 0. And here from paper plane to in the space, take 2 more meters. Not on the paper plane. Here, if you imagine a point here, 2 meters above the paper plane, how do we represent that point? 2 meters, comma 2 meters, comma 2 meters. That means, so what are the maximum dimensions we have? Only 3 dimensions. That is 3 coordinates, x coordinate, y coordinate, and z coordinate. So in this space, what's happening? If you want to represent any point, so we have only 3 coordinates. In the similar manner, in physics, if we take any physical quantity, it can be represented only some of the 7 fundamental physical quantities. So for every fundamental physical quantity, we assign a dimension. So what is that? For length L, for mass M, for time T, for the electric current A, for thermodynamic temperature K, for amount of substance mole, and for candela we use CD, isn't it? So like this, here we have x coordinate, y coordinate, z coordinate, right? If you take any point, you will get only 3 values. But here, if I take force, if I take the dimensions of force, how do we get this? This is product of mass and acceleration. So mass, acceleration. Then here we are writing, we use this bracket to write dimensional formula. For mass M, for acceleration. So what is the dimensional formula? L t power minus 2. So these are the dimensions of F. For a point, we are writing 3 points like this, right? In the space. So in the similar manner, for any physical quantity, we can represent that physical quantity in terms of fundamental physical quantities like this. That means, so the dimensions of F are 1 in mass, 1 in length, and minus 2 in time. Like this, if you take a point here, so what is x coordinate? 2 meters, and y coordinate is 0, and y coordinate is 0, and z coordinate is 0. And here you can also write like this. We are writing LMT. Of course, you can also write a power 0, k power 0, and mole power 0, and candela power 0. You can write like this. But in general, most of the physical quantities are expressed only in terms of MLT. That's why we write only MLT, not all these physical quantities. But if you want to write like this, you can also write like this. It is also correct. Now I want to write the definition of dimension here. Yes, the dimensions of a physical quantity are the powers to which the base quantities are raised to represent that quantity. We shall call these base physical quantities as the 7 dimensions of the physical world. Just now I told you. So any physical quantity can be expressed only in terms of only the 7 base physical quantities. That's why the these base quantities are called as 7 dimensions of the physical world. So here if we take example, force. For force, what is force, guys? It's the product of mass and acceleration. If you want to write the dimensions of force, so force is the product of mass and acceleration. So we need to write dimension for mass individually and acceleration individually. For mass we have m, for acceleration the dimensions are L t power minus 2. Now we can say that the dimensions of force are 1 in mass, because so what is the m power 1, and 1 in length, L power is 1, and minus 2 in time. So minus 2 in time. So these are the dimensions of force. So the dimensions of force are 1 in mass, 1 in length, and minus 2 in time. So like this, we can write dimensional formula for any physical quantity. So whenever we write, so maximum how many dimensions we get, the maximum value is 7 only. That is just now here we have shown. So what are these? M, L, M, T, A, K, mole, candela, isn't it? So usually most of the physical quantities are expressed only in terms of MLT. That's why usually we don't write these terms. But if you want to write like this, we can also write like this, no problem. Yes, now let us see the applications of dimensions, dimension analysis. Yeah, using dimensions, we can deduce relation among physical quantities. Yeah, we have different derived physical quantities, right? Of course, we have fundamental physical quantities, derived physical quantities also. Yes, using dimensions, we can get relations among physical quantities. Yeah, first example we are taking time period of a simple pendulum. Now let us derive using dimensions. Let us derive the equation for time period of a simple pendulum. I think you know simple pendulum. If we take a bob which is connected to a string, inextensible string, and if it is hanged here, it can be called as a simple pendulum, And if we take the bob once this side, and if we leave here, what happens, guys? It comes like this, and it goes to here, and again it comes here, and again it makes oscillations, right? Isn't it? Yes. Now here we want to derive the equation for time period. So what is time period? The time taken to complete one oscillation. That means if it starts here, it has to go here and it has to come back. So then the time taken is called as one time period. Isn't it? Yes. Now we want to derive the equation for time period. Now let us assume M is the mass of the bob and L is the length of the simple pendulum. Length of the string, or actually not string, the length of the simple pendulum means from the center of the bob to the hanging point. So this length is called as length of the pendulum. Now we are assuming that L is the length of the pendulum and M is the mass of the bob. And actually, why does it come like this? Whenever we take bob once here, it doesn't stop here, right? It comes like this, and again it makes oscillations. So this is due to acceleration due to gravity. So now we want to derive the equation for time period. So for that one, what I do is let T is equal to I am assuming that this is a constant of proportionality we are writing, and I am assuming that it depends on length. The time period depends on length, and I am taking L power x, and I am assuming it also depends on the mass of the pendulum. Acceleration due to gravity. Let us take acceleration due to gravity, that is g. So g power y. Let us assume that it also depends, the time period also depends on m. Let's say the m power z. So just we are assuming here, we don't know actually whether the time period depends on length of the pendulum or acceleration due to gravity or mass, we don't know. But we are assuming that the time period depends on length of the pendulum, acceleration due to gravity, and mass of the pendulum. And here we are taking the dimensions of t, x in length. I mean the dimension of L is 2, and for g y, and g power we are taking y, and for m power we are taking z. So we don't know xyz values. Xyz values are integers. We may get 0, we may get +1, +2, +3, and so on. We may get -1, -2, and so on. Isn't it? Yes. So finally we have to compare the dimensions left hand side and right hand side. Then only we will get x, y, and z values. Yes. Yeah. Here, what is k? Here, k is a dimensionless quantity. Dimensionless. And xy and x and yz are exponent. Exponent means integers, whatever you call. Now take both sides dimensions. So take this side dimensions. So take t and take this side also. Take k L power x, g power y, m power z. It can be written as L power 0, m power 0, t power 1. If there is 1, we need not to write 1. We write like this. And for k, Do we get any dimensions? No, we get 0, right? Now for L, individual letters, right? So for length, L whole power x. And for G means acceleration, right? Acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity or any acceleration, it always has same dimensions. What is that? L t power minus 2. Whole power, how much is there? Y. And for mass, what is the dimension? M. So m power z. Now this side we have LMT and this side also we need to have LMT. Now L power x is there and L power y is there. So write like this: L power 0, m power 0, t power 1 is there. Now let us write L power L m t individually. First let us write L power how much is there? X is there and here y is there, right? So x plus y. Next t power. T we have only, here we don't have t and here we don't have t. Here only we have t. So t power minus 2 into y, minus 2y. And m power we have only z, m power z. Yes, see guys, once again I'll explain here. Now using dimensions, we are deriving the equation for time period of a simple pendulum. For a simple pendulum, what do we have? We have mass of the pendulum, length of the pendulum, and we know it is making oscillation due to acceleration due to gravity. That means we are assuming that the time period depends on length of the pendulum, and it depends on acceleration due to gravity, and it also depends on mass of the pendulum. And we are taking the powers L power, G power, and M power were like this. So now we compare both sides and finally we get x, y, z values. Then we substitute x, y, z values in this equation and finally we get the actual equation for time period, actual expression for time period. So this side and this side. Now we have LMT and this side also we have LMT, right? Or LTM, whatever you call. Now compare powers both sides. Compare powers both sides. When you compare powers both sides, what do you get, guys? First let us write m power, because m power z is there, m power, yes. So what do you get, guys? We get z is equal to 0 directly. We get z equal to 0. Yes. Then we have t power 1 is there and t power minus 2y is there. So this side, what do we get, guys? 1 is equal to minus 2y. So from this equation, what do we get? Y is equal to minus half. Y is equal to minus half. Now compare. Yeah, first instead of comparing L power, I am comparing first M power, because we have 0 and 0 here, Z here. Directly we get Z value. And then I am comparing T power, because here we have 1 and here we have minus 2, and directly we will get Y value. Now compare L power now. So this side we have 0 and this side we have x plus y. Now from this equation, x equal to what do we get, guys? X equal to we get minus y. So my y value is how much? Y value is minus half, right? So minus half minus half. So what do we get? Minus half minus half. So x equal to what do we get? Half we get. Now finally, if we write, yes, if we substitute x value is how much? Half, y value is minus half, and z value is 0. If we substitute x, y, z values in t, in the equation number 1, if we say this equation number 1, now let us substitute this x, y, z values in this equation. So t is equal to what do we get? K into L power, how much is there? L power x means we get half, and G power y means we get minus half, and M power 0, something to power of 0 means that value equal to 1. Now L power half is there, G power minus half is there. So you can write K into L by G whole power half, or we can also write like this, K into square root of L by G, isn't it? Yes. So this is the by using dimensions, we are getting the final equation like this. T is equal to time period of a simple pendulum equal to K into square root of L by G. So are we getting any mass term here? No. We are assuming that initially the time period depends on mass, but finally we are not getting mass term here. That means, so whether you take 1 kg mass here or 5 grams mass here or 2 kg mass here, so the time period doesn't change. The time period depends only on L and G. So if we do experiment on Earth, G also constant. That means as we increase length L, time period increases. As we decrease length, time period decreases. But so it does not depend on mass. So whatever be the mass value, the time period remains constant. But the actual equation, we are saying k, right? But the actual, when you in oscillations we derive the equation for time period of a simple pendulum, there we get the actual equation. The actual equation for t, yeah, this constant of proportionality we get 2 pi into square root of L by G. This is the actual equation we get. Yes, the constant of proportionality we cannot get in dimensions, but we will get the physical quantities. Yeah, here length is a physical quantity and acceleration due to gravity is a physical quantity, right? So we can get relation among these physical quantities like this. Yeah, this is the one of the applications of dimensions. I hope you have understood this one. Now let us discuss measurement of length. Yes, parallax method. Yes, using parallax method, let us find the distance between a planet and Earth. Yes, now we have a planet, some planet X, some planet. Now here we have Earth. On the Earth, I mean, assume this is the total surface of the Earth. Now choose a point A. Choose a point A. Now we stand at a point on the Earth. Now we observe a point on the planet using telescope. Using telescope, we observe a point. Yes, using we place the telescope straight away like this, and we observe this point, a point on the planet. We observe like this. Now we move certain distance. This is usually few kilometers. From A to B, we move from here to some other point B. We move from here to some other point B. Now again, we see the same point on the planet, but here we have to face the telescope like this, right? And when we go to point B, if we place like this, what happens, guys? Can we see that point on the planet? No. So that is the reason. What do? We have to turn our telescope like this. Initially the orientation of the telescope is like this, but when you go to some other point B, and if you want to see the same point on that planet, what do we need to do? We have to turn the telescope like this, and here a protractor is arranged to a telescope to measure this angle. Whatever the angle it is rotating, that angle can be measured. So here, from here to here, like this. You see, guys, what is this? Earth surface. Earth surface, isn't it? Now from here to here and from here to here, and usually this distance is called as d. Here, what is distance d? D is the distance between the planet and the Earth. D is the distance between the planet and the Earth. Now let us say the distance between the 2 points A and B is, let's say this is small b, like this, isn't it? Now, so when we see from here and when we go from here to here and we rotate like this, right? So whatever the angle the telescope is rotating, that angle and this angle, these two must be same, right? Initially we are placing telescope like this. We are going to point B here, and we are rotating the telescope with some angle, right? Isn't it? We rotate like this, and whatever the angle rotated by the telescope, and that angle and this angle, these two are same, and let's say that angle is theta. Let's say that angle is theta. Now, can we write the formula for theta? We know if it is an arc, and it acts as a radius, right? It acts as radius, and you may get one doubt. It doesn't look like arc, right? It looks like a straight line. It looks like a straight line. So what happens is, when you take, yes, I'll explain here. Yes, now take a point here. When you take like this, so how does it look like, guys? It almost looks like a straight line, right? So when arc length is very small, compared to radius, so what happens is that it almost becomes a straight line. It doesn't look like a arc, a curved part, isn't it? So the same thing is happening here also. So the distance on the Earth which we are choosing, these 2 points, this is few kilometers, but from here to here, this distance is in terms of lakhs of kilometers. So compared to this distance is very, very small. I mean, for our convenience, yeah, whatever I am drawing here, it is not to scale. That means compared to this distance is very, very, very large. So from figure, what do we write, guys? Now it acts as arc, right? So from figure, what do we write, guys? Theta is equal to arc length divided by radius, that is b by d. But what do we want to find? We want to, using telescope, using protractor or some instrument, we can measure this angle, whatever the angle is turned by the telescope. So that angle can be measured, and the distance between the point and b also we can measure. So this is the distance between the 2 points which we are choosing on the earth surface. So here d is equal to, what do we get, guys? B by theta. See, guys, here b must be, if b is in meters, d value will be in meters. And what must be theta value? Theta value must be in radians, not in degrees, and not in any other unit. It must be, theta must be in radians. But usually whatever the angle which we get here, that angle is less than degrees. We have, you already learned that. Yes, so 2 pi radians is equal to, what do we get, guys? 360 degrees. 360 degrees. This is the relation we have. And one more thing, when the angle is less than 1 degree, we split that 1 degree into 60 equal parts. We split the we split 1 degree into 60 equal parts, and 1 degree is equal to, what we do is, we do 60 parts. So this is called as arc minute. Minute of arc or arc minute, whatever you call, both are same. So 1 degree is equal to 60 arc minute. And if the angle is very, very small, again 1 arc minute can be divided into again 60 equal parts. So that is called as arc second. This is not time. This is called as arc second or second half arc. Then now I'll try to explain whatever I am writing here. I'll try to explain this one. Yes, it is a complete sphere, and this whole angle is how much, guys? 2 pi radians. And like this, so how many parts we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So how many parts we do? Equal parts? 360. Then each part is called as how much? 1 degree. So total how many degrees? 360 degrees. And again in this 1 degree, we do 60 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So 1 degree is equal to, what do we write? 60 arc minute. Then each part, we are dividing this 1 degree into 60 equal parts, right? Then each part is equal to 1 arc minute. And again, whatever we are taking here, 1 arc minute. In this 1 arc minute, if the angle is very small, again we divide this whole angle into 60 equal parts. Then each part is called as 1 arc second. 60 double dash 1 arc second. We write like this: arc minute, arc second. So usually here, whatever the angle we get here, we may get in arc seconds or arc minutes, not in degrees. We get less than 1 degree. So in that case, we do like this. But remember, finally, whenever we substitute theta, what do we need to? Theta must be in radians. So if the value, suppose I am getting the angle theta. Suppose I am getting angle theta is equal to some 30 arc second. Now how do we convert this 30 arc second into radians? Like this. So this can be written as, here I'll explain. 30 into, you can write 1 arc minute, right? Now from here, 1 arc minute, 1 arc second equal to, you can write 30 into by, you can write 60. If you bring this 60 here, 1 arc second is equal to 1 by 60 arc minute. Now what do we get? 30 by 60. You will get 0.5 or 0.5 into 1 arc minute. Now convert this 1 arc minute into degrees. How? 0.5 into 1 arc. 1 arc minute. If you can write this value 60 into 1 arc minute, right? Now bring this 60 here. So what do we get, guys? 1 degree by 60. Now here, this value is 0.5 by 60 into 1 degree. Now this value 0.5 by 60 into 1 degree. 1 degree means, how do we convert 1 degree into radians? So 2 pi radians equal to 360 degrees. So it can be written as 360 into 1 degree, right? Now bring this 360 here. So what do we get? 2 pi by 360. 2 pi by 360 radians. So whatever the value which we are getting here, so this value must be substituted here in the place of theta, because now the theta value is in radians. Actually we are getting this theta value in arc second, but we are not supposed to substitute this arc second directly here. We have to convert this value into radians. So directly we cannot convert. First, what are we doing? We are converting arc seconds into arc minutes into degrees, and degrees to radians. If you know the direct formula, you can directly use. But if you don't know the formula, this is the way we do. Now theta value is in radians. If this value is 2 kilometers, some kilometers, and d value will be in kilometers. If this value, b value is in meters, and d value we will get in meters. So this is the way, by using parallax method, we can find the distance between a planet and the Earth. Now let us discuss how we find size of a planet. Size means the diameter of a planet. Now here on the Earth surface, we stand at one point. Now assume this is the planet whose diameter we want to find. So by using telescope, what we do is, first we see this end. This edge we see, and later on we see this edge. That means, so first, whenever we see first this end, we have to place telescope like this. If you want to see the other end of the planet, what we need to do, we have to turn like this, right? So whatever the angular displacement of the telescope, let's say this angle is theta, and d, capital D, is the distance between the Earth surface. This is Earth surface and the planet, isn't it? And let us call this one as diameter of the planet. Now this is what we want to find. Diameter we want to find, isn't it? Yes. And again, so the diameter is usually few thousands of kilometers, but the distance from Earth surface to the planet, this is in terms of lakhs of kilometers, right? So compared to this distance is very, very small. So this value, this length can be treated as arc. Again, from figure, what do we do? Yeah, theta we have already used, right? Let us use some angle, alpha or beta, whatever you, from figure. Alpha is equal to arc length divided by radius from here to here. Now we want to find d, right? So d is equal to, diameter is equal to, what do we need to do, guys? Alpha into d. So d we have just now explained you how we determine the distance between Earth surface to planet. First we need to know d from Earth surface to the planet. So after finding d, then we do this experiment. So we find alpha value. Again, alpha value must be in radians, not in degrees, not in arc seconds, not in arc minutes. So if we get the value in arc minutes, what do we need to do? We have to convert arc minutes into arc degrees into radians. So whenever alpha value is in radians, then we need to substitute here. And if d value is in meters, and the diameter value will be in meters. If d value in kilometers, the diameter value which we get in kilometers. So this is the way we can find the size of a planet. Hope you have understood this one. Yes, now let us see the range of lengths. The smallest unit of length is Fermi. 1 Fermi is equal to 10 power minus 15 meters. Usually we use this unit Fermi when we measure the size of nucleus of any atom. Usually the size of nuclei in the order of few Fermis. And angstrom, 1 angstrom is equal to 10 power minus 10 meters. So usually we use this angstrom, this unit, when we measure the size of atoms. And 1 astronomical unit, the average distance between Earth surface and the sun is called as astronomical unit, and 1 astronomical unit equal to the average distance. This is the average distance between Earth surface and the sun, that is 1.496 into 10 power 11 meters. And 1 light year. Light year means the distance traveled by the light in 1 year. We know the speed of light, that is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. So 1 year, convert year into seconds. So for 1 year, how many days we have? 365 days and 24 hours. For every hour we have 60 minutes. For every minute we have 60 seconds. So now multiply these three things Now hold this value, we'll get 9.46 into 10 power 15 meters. So 1 light year equal to 9.46 into 10 power 15 meters. And 1 parsec, this is the longest unit which we use to measure length. 1 parsec equal to 3.08 into 10 power 16 meters. So actually 1 parsec means we measure like this. So we choose 2 points, point A and point B, point A and point B, and which are at 1 astronomical unit. I mean the distance between the 2 points A and B is how much? 1 astronomical unit. Now we go to certain distance. Now we observe the 2 points A and B. So initially we get some angle, right? Initially we get large angle. And when we move from here to here, when we see there are 2 planets, what is the angular separation? Decreases. So the angular separation decreases, and we have to move until the angular separation, this separation is equal to 1 arc minute. When this theta value is how much? This theta value must mean 1 arc second. Then this distance, the distance from the point to A, and the distance from observing point to A, or the distance from observing point to B, this distance is called as 1 parsec. This distance or this distance, because this distance acts as arc. It is a part of circle. If you imagine here, you will get a circle. You understand what is parsec? So first we have to choose 2 points in the space, and the distance between the 2 points must be 1 astronomical unit. That is how much? What is the distance? 1 AU, 1.496 10 power 11 meters. Now we have to move a middle point here, and we have to move away from the 2 points until the angular separation of the 2 points is 1 arc second. Then we have to stop here. Then the distance from the observing point to A, or the distance from observing point to B, this distance is called as parsec, and the value is 3.08 into 10 power 16 meters. This is the longest unit of length which we use. Now measurement of mass. What is the smallest unit of mass? Yeah, usually of course the SI unit of mass is kg, but when we go to atomic level, we use the smallest unit which is called as unified atomic mass, 1 U or 1 AMU. 1 unified atomic mass is equal to, that is 1/12 of the mass of carbon 12 atom. So if we take carbon 12 atom, we divide the carbon 12 atom into 12 equal parts, then each part is equal to 1 AMU, that is 1 unified atomic mass. When we see range of masses, the smallest mass of the particle which has the smallest mass is electron. The mass of the electron is 9.11 into 10 power minus 31 kg. The power is 10 power minus 31. It is very, very small. And next particle which has less mass, that is mass of the proton, and approximately equal to mass of Newton. Usually the mass of Newton is slightly greater than mass of proton. But if we see approximately, if we assume the both are same approximately, so the value is 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kg. And the mass of the earth is 5.98 into 10 power 24 kg. And mass of the sun is, that is around 1.99 into 10 power 30 kg. And the mass of Milky Way galaxy is around 10 power 41 kg. These two values are rough values. Yeah, up to this value we know accurately. But when we see the mass of the Milky Way galaxy and the mass of the observable universe is 10 power 55 kg, they are just guessing values. We cannot measure these values because, yeah, by measuring the time period of Earth, we can measure the mass of the sun, isn't it? By measuring the time period of a satellite, we can measure the mass of the Earth. But when it comes to Milky Way galaxy and observable universe, it is not possible to give exact mass of Milky Way galaxy and exact mass of observable universe. They are just guessed values. And measurement of time, and which time gives us more accurate value, digital clock or analog clock. So compared to analog clock, digital clock gives more accurate value, but when it comes to digital clock, the more and more accurate value, time value gives us atomic clocks. Atomic clock measures most accurate time interval. Yeah, you will learn in the higher classes how atomic clock works. Yeah, now you cannot understand how they work. A cesium atomic clock is used at the National Physical Laboratory, that is, which is called as NPL, which is placed in New Delhi to maintain the Indian Standard Time. Usually we call it as IST. IST means, we are plus 5.5 hours compared to GMT. Greenwich Meridian Time compared to GMT. So we are always 5.5 hours ahead of GMT, isn't it? So to maintain IST, isn't it? To measure time accurately, what we use? We use a cesium atomic clock, which is placed National Physical Laboratory. That institute is placed in New Delhi. So this is the way. I mean, what I want to tell you is here when it comes to measurement of time, the atomic clocks measure more accurate time interval compared to normal clocks.